All right, so we're diving deep today
Eight.
into all this productivity gold you've dug up.
Yeah.
Looks like someone's ready to
Yeah.
supercharge their workflow, huh?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We've got a few transcripts here from like the productivity gurus,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really cool.
Yeah.
You can kind of get a sense of like
Yeah.
different approaches, right?
Yeah.
And see what.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the most valuable things about seeing different perspectives is that it sort of dispels the myth of the one-size-fits-all approach.
Right, exactly.
Like, there's no perfect system that works for everyone.
Totally.
It's really about taking the principles and tools that resonate with you and adapting them to your own work style.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's what we see a lot here.
Yeah.
I think a good place to start is with the
Hey.
Trident method.
Okay.
Have you heard of this?
I have, yeah.
Okay, so
It's this really cool system,
yeah.
for planning your time across 3 different levels,
Right.
like the year, the week, and the day.
It's like a roadmap for your time.
Yeah, exactly. It's like having a strategic plan to prevent you from getting lost in the weeds of your day-to-day tasks.
And it starts with like,
It starts with like a bird's eye view of your whole year.
okay.
So instead of just reacting to whatever comes up,
Right.
you're taking the time to proactively map out the big picture.
So instead of like using a traditional calendar, which I feel like I'm constantly like
Oh my God.
flipping through and reshuffling,
Constantly.
this expert is suggesting using just a simple spreadsheet
Exactly.
to like plan out your year.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Because it allows you to like identify important events, deadlines, opportunities in advance.
Mm-hmm.
You're also like less likely to overcommit,
Which is huge. Yeah.
which, let's be real, that's a productivity killer.
It is. It is.
If you're overcommitted,
Yeah, for sure.
you're going to burn out.
Yeah. And so, once you have that yearly overview,
Yeah.
what's the next like step in this?
So then you move on to the second prong of the trident, which is ideal week planning.
Okay. So ideal week.
Ideal week.
And this is where you're like,
This is where it gets really fun.
okay.
You're basically designing your dream week.
Really?
Yeah, using a tool like Google Calendar.
Oh, wait.
But it's not just about scheduling work commitments, right?
Okay.
It's about blocking out time for everything that's important to you.
So not just work stuff.
No. This includes like your workouts, your hobbies,
Hobbies.
family time, even those personal projects that you've been like putting off.
This is starting to sound less like a rigid schedule and more like a blueprint for
I
like
know, right?
a fulfilling life.
It is.
But I guess my one question about that is like,
Yeah.
we all know life happens.
Of course, yeah.
Things come up unexpectedly. Does this approach like
Mhm.
make it harder to, just be flexible and go with the flow?
That's a great question. And it's something that the expert addresses directly. Like, they're not advocating for like a rigid, unbreakable schedule.
Right.
The ideal week is more about being intentional with your time and having a framework to guide your decisions.
Right.
So if something unexpected comes up, you can adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
It's not about being a slave to the schedule. It's about having that intentionality.
Okay, so it's kind of like setting yourself up for success,
Yes.
but still allowing for
Flexibility, absolutely.
flexibility. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've covered the year, the week.
Mm-hmm.
What about the day-to-day?
Right.
What's that final prong?
Okay, so the final prong of the Trident method
Okay.
is all about identifying your daily quests.
Daily quests.
So each day, you choose 3 key tasks to focus on,
Free.
and they recommend like 1 for work,
Okay.
1 for health,
So-
and 1 for relationships.
I love that.
Yeah,
Because it's like, it's not just about work.
right.
It's about like taking care of yourself
Exactly.
and like nurturing your relationships.
It's about that balance.
Yeah, totally. And also, it helps you prioritize, right?
Absolutely. It helps you stay focused on what truly matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And something that comes up a lot,
Mhm.
just like prioritizing.
Yeah.
So we talked about the Trident method,
Yes,
but I think there were some other kind of
absolutely.
principles that came up consistently.
Yeah, for sure.
One of them that really struck me was fixed schedule productivity.
Yes.
What is that all about?
So fixed schedule productivity is all about setting clear boundaries around your work hours
Okay.
and sticking to them. So
Okay.
it's like having a closed sign for your workday.
Mhm.
It might seem counterintuitive, but
Yeah.
it actually forces you to be more focused,
Right.
more efficient during those designated work hours.
Because it's like, Work expands, right?
Exactly. It's like that saying, work expands to fill the time allotted.
Yep.
If you don't have boundaries, you'll just keep working and working.
And working.
Yeah. And then you never get to actually enjoy your personal time.
Right. So this protects the.
This protects your personal time.
Yeah.
You know, when you're off, so you can truly relax, recharge,
So win-win.
win-win,
More
get
productive.
more productive during work hours, and you actually get to have a life.
And then you come back refreshed.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But then there was also this idea of like slow productivity.
Slow productivity, I love that concept.
Yeah. What is that?
So slow productivity is kind of like the antidote to this hustle culture.
Okay.
We live in this constant state of busyness,
Mhm.
but slow productivity emphasizes consistent effort over the long term rather than like burning yourself out,
Okay.
you know, chasing these short-term gains.
So it's like
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
exactly.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that sustainable success is built on small, consistent actions. Yeah.
Small, consistent actions.
Over weeks, months, years.
Like playing the long game.
Exactly, playing the long game.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Now speaking of long-term success, you know, one thing that's super important for like doing deep, meaningful work
Yeah.
is this concept of duct work, right?
Deep work, yes. That's crucial.
And like, I think we hear about it all the time, but like,
We do.
how do we actually make time for it?
Yeah, well, deep work is all about prioritizing those focused, distraction-free sessions
Right.
where you can do your most important, like thinking your creative work, problem solving without all the constant interruptions of the modern world.
Yeah.
So it's about carving out dedicated time to really go deep
Okay,
into your work.
And that's the challenge though, right?
It is a challenge.
Because we are
especially in our world.
constantly like bombarded with distractions.
Exactly. We're always connected, always on. So I think it starts with recognizing the value of deep work.
Okay.
It's not just another item on your to-do list.
Right.
It's the fuel
It's the fuel.
that drives your most impactful contributions.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so think of it as like an investment
Sure.
in your most valuable asset, your ability to focus, your ability to create.
Mm.
So once you start seeing it that way, you can start to like build it into your schedule.
So making a conscious decision to prioritize it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it might mean saying no to certain commitments or blocking out time in your calendar. You know, maybe finding a dedicated workspace where you can minimize distractions.
And even like when you try to do deep work,
Yes.
there are still those distractions.
There are always distractions.
So how do we deal with those?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to reducing friction, which is something that one expert emphasized.
Okay, reducing friction, what does that mean?
So it means making it as easy as possible to do the things you want to do. And conversely, making it harder to get sidetracked.
So like removing the obstacles.
Exactly. Removing those little obstacles
Yeah.
that can, you know, derail our best intentions.
So for example,
Mm-hmm.
if I know that I get sucked into social media really easily, like
Totally.
what would I do?
Well, you could like log out of your social media accounts
Okay.
during your deep work sessions,
Okay.
or, you know, use a website blocker,
Website blocker.
something like that.
So like making it harder to access that.
Exactly. Making the undesirable behavior more difficult.
Right, right.
And the desired behavior easier.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we've talked about some high-level principles here.
We have.
Let's get into some specifics.
Okay.
Like, what are some of the tools,
Yeah.
apps, you know,
Absolutely.
that these experts recommend? What comes to mind first?
So one expert was a big advocate for low friction tools,
Okay.
for capturing ideas on the go.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like he really emphasized that he uses things like Todoist for task management.
Mm-hmm.
But he also acknowledged the power of just like a pen and paper.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes the simplest tools
Yeah.
are the most effective.
It doesn't have to be fancy.
Well, it doesn't have to be fancy,
It's
exactly.
about what works.
Yeah.
Now, I think one thing that a lot of us struggle with
Yes.
is just the sheer volume of information.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like, it's overwhelming.
It can feel really overwhelming.
Absolutely.
So how do we manage all that and not let it become a source of stress?
Well, one expert had this really interesting philosophy.
Right.
He's like, organize information not by where you found it, but by where you'll use it.
Okay.
So he uses Notion as his central hub,
Mhm.
but he strategically links documents, notes, even web pages.
So instead of like having a folder called like meeting notes, Yeah. You'd have it organized by project or by client.
Project, client, and then all the meeting notes. Everything would be linked there.
Exactly. Everything's linked.
Right. So it's all in one place.
So you can easily find what you need when you need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just about being organized. It's about being proactive.
Proactive.
Yeah. He's a big believer in creating templates for repetitive tasks.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So you don't have to start from scratch every time.
Huge time saver.
Huge time saver.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And actually, speaking of time saving,
yes.
One expert mentioned using Superhuman for email.
Yes. Superhuman.
I've heard it's amazing, but also quite expensive.
It is expensive. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
So I think Superhuman is definitely geared towards power users.
Okay.
People who live in their inbox.
Okay.
It's all about speed and efficiency.
Okay.
Like through keyboard shortcuts, streamlined workflows.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it can be a game changer.
But not for everyone.
Not for everyone.
What about for the rest of us who aren't
right.
quite ready to invest in Superhuman?
Well, there are other things you can do, like he suggests using the snooze feature in Gmail more strategically. Yeah. So instead of letting messages pile up in your inbox, snooze them to reappear at a specific time when you're actually available to address them.
So it's like putting those emails on a...
It's like hitting the pause button.
Pause.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. Keeps your inbox clean, and you can deal with emails when it's most convenient.
Awesome. And speaking of, taking control of our time.
Yes.
I think we have to talk about...
We do.
The dreaded...
meetings.
Yeah, they can be a necessary evil.
They can.
But one expert had some really strong opinions on how to make them more productive.
Okay.
He's a big fan of pre-reads.
Pre-reads.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So he believes that every meeting should have a clear objective, a well-defined agenda, and a pre-read that's sent to attendees in advance.
So it's like setting the stage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like setting the stage, providing a roadmap.
So that everyone's on the same page.
And they know what to expect.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And then, the meeting time is actually used effectively for discussion and decision-making rather than, just getting everyone up to speed.
This is making me rethink.
I know, right?
My entire approach.
It's a game changer.
To meetings.
It is.
But we've got to take a quick break.
Oh.
We'll be right back with more productivity wisdom.
Sounds good.
Right after this.
All right. So we were talking about those pre-reads.
Pre-reads.
Yeah, make pre-reads great again.
Okay. I'm sold.
Right.
But what does a good one even look like? Like, how do I do a great pre-read?
It doesn't have to be a novel.
Okay.
Right? Think concise bullet points, outlining the key topics, desired outcomes, any relevant background information, data points, just to give participants context.
Okay, so it's like that roadmap.
It's a roadmap.
So everyone's on the same page.
Exactly. And then you can actually have a productive discussion.
And what if I'm invited to a meeting and there's no pre-read?
Oh, that's a good question.
What do I do?
Don't be afraid to politely inquire about the agenda or the objectives.
Okay.
It shows that you're engaged and that you value your time.
So just being assertive without being...
Without being rude.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Shifting gears a bit.
Okay.
One of the experts had this interesting perspective on productivity.
Yeah.
He called it quiet quitting.
Quiet quitting, yeah.
For productivity. For productivity, which is kind of,
What is that all about?
It's about, not slacking off, but being strategic.
Okay.
About how you invest your energy.
Okay.
Right? Like recognizing that you can't do everything. And that saying no to certain tasks or requests can actually boost your overall productivity.
So setting realistic expectations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, setting boundaries,
yeah.
even within a demanding work environment.
Exactly. And this expert actually works in tech.
Oh, wow.
So it's a fast-paced environment.
Totally.
And he shared some really valuable insights on, how to navigate that without burning out.
Yeah.
And one of his tips is to steal with pride.
Okay, steal with pride.
Steal with pride.
What does that even mean?
So he's not talking about plagiarizing or anything unethical.
Okay, good, right.
Right. He's talking about leveraging the work that others have already done.
Okay.
So for example, if you come across a really well-designed presentation or a spreadsheet, save it.
So like using existing resources is inspiration.
Exactly. As inspiration as a starting point.
Okay.
Rather than reinventing the wheel every single time.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Build a library of templates and resources that
Yeah.
you can adapt for your own needs.
And he actually had a really specific tip
Oh, yeah.
about this.
Uh.
He was like, if you're saving a presentation for inspiration,
Hmm.
you can make a copy of only the slides that you want
Oh, that's smart.
and remove all the speaker notes.
That's a good tip.
So you're just getting the...
Yeah, you're just getting like the meat
Yeah.
of it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then he also emphasized,
We did.
templating everything.
Templating everything, yes.
Like using the
leverage those
template feature,
yeah,
Notion,
just great for that.
or whatever, right?
Yeah, any tool that allows you to create templates.
And it can be for
it can be for anything.
anything.
Meeting agendas, project plans, client proposals.
Instead of starting from scratch.
Yeah, you have that pre-built structure ready to go.
I love that.
It's a huge time saver.
Okay, and what about tasks that can't be templated?
Right.
Like, how do we handle those?
That's where automation comes in.
Automation.
Yeah, so identify those repetitive, time-consuming tasks.
Okay.
And then explore ways to automate them.
Any, specific examples?
Yeah, so think about setting up email filters to automatically sort incoming messages.
Oh, yeah. Email filters are a lifesaver.
They are.
Yeah.
Or using a scheduling tool to book meetings.
Or like Calendly or something.
Calendly, exactly.
Yeah.
Those small automations can free up so much of your time.
Working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Working smarter, not harder.
I love it.
Yeah.
So beyond the tools and techniques, one of the experts talked about mindset.
Mindset, yeah.
And specifically this principle he learned from Tiago Forte,
Oh, interesting.
the second brain guy.
Yeah.
And he called it,
What was it?
don't be the weak link.
Don't be the weak link. I like that.
So tell me more about that.
So it's about making sure that you're not the bottleneck in a process or a workflow.
Okay.
Right. And it all comes down to how you organize information.
Oh, okay. This is crucial
It is.
for anyone working in a team, right?
Especially in a team environment.
Because you don't want to be that person.
You don't want to be the one holding everyone back.
Yeah.
So remember that principle we talked about earlier?
Yes.
Organize information by where you'll see it, not where you found it.
So not meeting notes. It's like...
Exactly. Project X, client Y, and then all the relevant information is linked there.
And linked, yes.
Yeah. He actually said, if your project involves multiple documents, make sure they all link to each other.
Okay.
So if you share one file with a teammate, they have access to all the related documents.
Oh, that's so smart.
They won't have to come back to you and be like, hey, can you share that one file again?
So you're minimizing those little interruptions.
Exactly. You're streamlining the workflow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And actually, speaking of interruptions, let's go back to meetings for a second.
Meetings, okay.
We talked about pre-reads.
Yes.
This expert is like a huge fan.
He loves pre-reads.
But he also had some insights about making the meetings themselves more efficient.
Oh, interesting. What were they?
Like, he's a big believer in, setting a clear agenda.
Oh, yeah.
Sticking to it.
Absolutely.
Doing meandering conversations.
How many rabbit holes?
Going off on tangents.
Stay focused.
Stay focused.
Yeah.
So, you're going into that meeting with a purpose.
With a purpose.
And everyone knows what that purpose is.
Here's the plan.
Yeah. Okay, and then also, don't be afraid to, politely but firmly.
Politely but firmly.
Steer the conversation back on track.
Yes. Course correct if needed.
If needed, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now, these are all great tips for, corporate teams or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, how does this apply to freelancers or entrepreneurs?
That's a good question.
Who maybe aren't having as many, traditional meetings.
I think the principles still apply.
Okay.
Right? Whether you're meeting with a client.
Right.
A collaborator, or even having a brainstorming session with yourself.
So intentionality.
Intentionality is
always key, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, beyond, the practical aspects of productivity, one of the experts really emphasized the mental...
The mental and emotional side?
And emotional side.
Yeah.
And he talked about therapy for understanding our emotions.
Absolutely.
Identifying limiting beliefs.
That's so important.
And developing those healthier
coping mechanisms.
Coping mechanisms.
Yeah, because if you're constantly stressed out and overwhelmed, you're not going to be productive.
Right, and it's not just about addressing
the
negative thoughts and feelings.
Right.
It's also about
cultivating
the positive ones.
The positive ones.
Self-compassion, gratitude, a sense of purpose.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, creating that inner environment
That supports you.
that supports your well-being.
Yeah, yeah. And a tool for that came up a lot
Oh, yeah.
was
Yeah. What was it?
journaling.
Journaling, yes.
Like, I feel like every single one of these experts
It's a powerful tool.
was like, journaling is key
It is.
to their routine.
It's a great way to process your emotions, clarify your thoughts, gain a deeper understanding of yourself.
It's like that conversation you have with yourself.
It is. It's like a therapy session on paper.
Yeah, on paper.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like super formal or structured.
Okay.
Just a few minutes of free writing each day can make a huge difference.
And you can get creative with it, right?
You can.
Like, you can use prompts.
You can use prompts.
Experiment with different styles.
Different styles of journaling.
Yeah, whatever works for you.
Exactly.
And, while journaling is amazing,
It is.
we can't ignore the fact that stress and burnout
Burnout is real.
are real things.
It is, yeah, and it's something we all experience.
We all experience.
At some point, especially in today's world,
Yeah.
where we're constantly bombarded with information
Yeah.
and expected to be on all the time.
Yeah.
So it's crucial to prioritize self-care.
Okay, self-care, yeah?
Fill your own cup first.
Yeah.
So you have something to give to others.
And it can be as simple as, like,
It can be small things.
just taking a few minutes.
Absolutely. Meditate, listen to music,
Like, listen to music.
spend time in nature.
Yeah, yeah.
Those small things can make a big difference.
And, like, moving your body, right?
Movement, yes. Like
So important.
for both physical and mental well-being.
Mm.
And one expert actually shared
There.
that he has a treadmill desk.
A treadmill desk.
The treadmill desk.
Tell me more.
So he walks at a slow pace while he works,
Okay.
Getting his steps in
Mm-hmm.
without having to block out dedicated time for exercise.
So it's like incorporating it into your day.
Exactly. Integrating movement into his daily routine.
Cool. So, like,
Yeah.
maybe I don't need a treadmill desk, but I could, like,
You could take the stairs instead of the elevator.
take the stairs.
Go for a walk during your lunch break.
Or, if I have a standing desk, maybe
Yeah.
I could just
Have
get
a treadmill under.
a treadmill under
Yeah.
it. Okay, I like that. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about,
Yeah.
moving our bodies.
Movement.
One of the experts talked about, like, his home office setup,
Oh, his workspace.
and I'm always curious about that.
Me too. Yeah.
So what did he have to say?
So he's a big believer in minimizing distractions,
Okay.
creating like a calm, focused environment.
Okay.
Think minimalist decor,
Okay.
natural light,
Mm-hmm.
maybe some soothing background music.
Like, making it a space that you actually
Exactly.
want to be in.
Make it a sanctuary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your workspace should be a reflection of you.
Yeah.
So what makes you feel inspired?
Yeah.
Focused, productive,
Yeah.
create an environment that supports your best work.
And he also talked about, like, reducing friction
He did.
within his home office.
Yes. So he has these dedicated bags
Okay, bags.
ready for different work scenarios.
Okay.
So like a bag for coffee shop work sessions,
Okay.
a bag for filming videos,
Hmm.
a bag for meetings.
So he's, like, anticipating.
He's anticipating his needs
Yeah.
and removing those obstacles in advance.
So smart.
Yeah, it's not just about bags. It's about setting up your workspace so everything's easily accessible.
Okay.
Strategically place your stationary
Chargers.
chargers, snacks.
The snacks.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, make it easy to get into the flow state and stay there.
Now, obviously, not all of us are going to have, like,
Right.
this elaborate home office setup.
You don't need a fancy home office to be productive.
Yeah.
It's about making the most of the space you have
Yeah.
and creating an environment that supports your work style and preferences.
So progress, not perfection.
Progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
Start with small changes.
Yeah.
Experiment until you find what works for you.
Okay.
Yeah,
But our digital workspaces are just as important, right?
absolutely. Our digital spaces are an extension of our physical spaces.
And they can get really cluttered really quickly.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So how do
The
we,
digital clutter is real.
yeah, how do we manage all of that?
Well, one expert shared a really simple two-step system
Okay, two-step system.
for managing digital information,
Okay.
capturing and organizing.
Capturing and organizing. Okay.
So the first step is capturing those fleeting ideas and tasks
Okay.
in a really frictionless way.
Okay.
He personally uses Todoist for this,
Okay.
but you could use any note-taking app that you prefer.
So just get it out of your head.
Get it out of your head
Yeah.
and into a system
Yeah.
where you can actually work with it later.
Okay, cool.
So the key here is just to make that capture process as easy as possible.
Okay, so quick and dirty.
Quick and dirty, jot it down, move on.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the second step is...
But the second step is organizing all those captured ideas and tasks into their corresponding locations.
Okay, so this is where like the folders and systems come in.
He uses a combination of Google Workspace, Calendar, and Notion.
Okay.
But again, you can adapt this to your preferred tools.
Yeah, so it's like that digital filing cabinet.
Exactly. It's like a digital filing cabinet for your brain.
Yeah.
Where everything has its place.
I like that.
Yeah, and remember that key principle.
Mm-hmm.
The wrong way to organize information is by where you found it.
Right.
The right way is to organize by the location you'll use that information.
So like if I capture an idea for a blog post,
right.
I'm not just going to put it in...
You're not going to put it in a generic ideas folder.
Yeah, yeah.
You're going to put it in your blog post ideas folder or Notion page or whatever system you use.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then you can even take it a step further by linking related information together.
Link it. Yes.
Yeah. So if your blog post idea is connected to a project you're working on,
okay,
link those two pieces of information together for easy access.
So smart. So smart.
It's all about creating those connections.
Okay, now one area where a lot of us struggle is email.
Email, oh yeah.
Like, how do I...
It never ends.
It never ends.
Yeah.
How do we manage it all?
Well, he's a big fan of the snooze feature in Gmail.
Okay, snooze.
Yeah. So instead of letting messages pile up in your inbox, use the snooze feature to schedule them to reappear at a later time when you can actually deal with them.
So, like, if I get an email on a Friday afternoon...
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't deal with this right now.
Snooze it till Monday.
Snooze it.
Yeah, okay.
Proactively managing your inbox.
Yeah, it's like, I'm putting this on a timeout.
Exactly. Putting it on a timeout.
With you later.
Yeah, I'll get back to you when I'm ready. Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay.
So
those are some general tips for managing the digital chaos.
But let's get into some like
specific apps and tech.
Apps and tech, yeah.
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Like, what are they using?
Okay, so surprisingly, one expert started with the basics.
Okay, the basics.
The humble pen and paper.
Okay.
He's a big fan of using a physical journal.
Okay.
For morning pages.
For morning pages.
Which is that, brain dumping exercise we talked about earlier.
Yeah, there's something about going analog that feels really nice.
It can be really grounding.
Grounding?
Yeah, and
clarifying. Yeah.
Okay.
He also uses a pen and paper to-do list.
Oh, wow.
Which he finds to be more effective than digital to-do list apps.
I can see that.
Yeah. There's a certain satisfaction.
There is.
That comes with physically crossing items off a list.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's less distracting.
Than having
Than constantly checking your phone.
Yeah, that app open.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So pen and paper.
Pen and paper has its place.
Yeah, for sure. But then he also uses...
He embraces technology as well.
Okay.
And one of his favorite apps is Things 3.
Things 3. I've heard good things.
It's a great app.
What makes it so great?
So he likes its clean interface.
Okay.
And its ability to organize tasks by context.
Okay.
So instead of having one giant to-do list, he can categorize tasks by when and where he can best accomplish them.
Oh, that's really smart.
Yeah, it's a more intuitive way to manage your tasks.
Okay.
And he also uses Things 3 to schedule recurring tasks and set reminders.
Okay, so it's got a lot of features.
It does. It's a really powerful app.
Okay, now when it comes to writing.
Okay.
What are his go-to tools?
So for focused, distraction-free writing, he prefers Ulysses.
Ulysses, yeah.
It's a classic.
It is a classic. Yeah, it's a minimalist writing app that's designed to help you just get your thoughts down without distractions. Okay. It's also great for organizing longer writing projects, like books or articles, and it supports Markdown, which is a really clean and efficient way to format your text.
Okay, so it's all about
It's about creating that space where you can just focus on the craft of writing without any of the bells and whistles.
Okay, now what about for the more visual or collaborative writing project?
Yeah, so for that, he turns to Notion. Notion can do it all.
I feel like Notion is
It's like the Swiss Army knife of productivity tools.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do anything with it.
Yeah.
But in this case, he specifically uses it for writing and organizing larger projects that involve multiple collaborators.
So it's like keeping everyone on the same page.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And Notion's visual interface.
It's very visual.
It's very visual. Can be really helpful for brainstorming, outlining ideas.
Yeah.
You can drag and drop elements, create these beautiful interconnected pages.
I love that.
It's a really powerful tool.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, now email. We got to talk about email.
Email, like the bane of our existence.
Yeah. It can feel that way sometimes.
Yeah.
What are these experts doing?
Okay, so one expert swears by Superhuman, which he claims is the fastest way to manage email.
Okay.
But it is quite expensive.
It's expensive.
So it's not for everyone.
Not for everyone.
But for those who can afford it
yeah.
and who live in their inbox,
okay,
it can be a game changer.
So it's known for speed and efficiency.
Speed and efficiency.
What's like?
It's all about keyboard shortcuts.
Keyboard shortcuts.
Yeah, so you can navigate your inbox, compose messages, perform actions without ever touching your mouse.
So sure, you're like
a keyboard ninja.
Yeah, you got to learn a whole new language.
It's a whole new language.
Yeah.
But once you master it, it's incredibly efficient.
Okay, now for those of us who aren't using Superhuman, what can we do?
So he also recommends using email filters.
Email filters, Lifesaver.
Lifesaver to automatically sort incoming messages.
Yeah.
Keep your inbox clean and organized.
Yeah.
He also uses a tool called SaneBox. Which helps him prioritize and manage his most important emails.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a really cool tool.
I'll have to check that out.
Check it out.
Okay, beyond email, what about for reading and learning?
Oh, for reading and learning. Okay. One expert uses an app called Reader. To manage his RSS feeds.
Oh, RSS feeds?
Yeah, they're making a comeback.
They are.
Yeah.
I feel like they
went out of style for a while. Yeah. But they're back.
They're back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a great way to keep up with all the latest articles and blog posts from your favorite websites.
So it's like creating your own.
It's like having a personalized newsfeed.
Personalized newsfeed.
Yeah, tailored to your interests.
I love that.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
And he also uses Readwise.
Readwise.
To capture and resurface highlights from articles and books.
Oh, I love Readwise.
It's a fantastic tool.
It is. It is.
Yeah, it helps you remember the key takeaways from what you read.
And it integrates with a lot of other tools, like Notion.
You're connected to Notion.
So you can pull all that information in.
Pull all those highlights in.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's a great tool.
Okay.
So those are some of the specific apps and tech that these experts are using.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that the tools themselves are not magic bullets.
Right.
Right? It's about using them intentionally.
Intentionally.
Yeah.
In a way that supports your workflow.
In a way that supports your workflow and your goals.
Yeah.
And your goals.
Exactly.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to experiment. Try different tools, see what works best for you.
It's about finding that right mix.
Right.
Finding the right mix of tools and techniques.
That empower you. Yeah.
To do your best work.
Okay.
And live your best life.
And technology is constantly evolving.
It is. So
it's always changing.
We have to stay curious.
Stay curious.
And be open to
trying new things.
New things.
Yeah, because what works for you today might not work for you tomorrow.
Right.
So, stay flexible, stay adaptable.
Okay, and I think that's a good note to end on.
Yeah.
We've talked about all these different things.
We've covered a lot of ground.
But productivity is a journey.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Not a destination.
Yeah.
It's not about
It's not about achieving some mythical state. Of perfect efficiency.
We're never going to get there.
It's about continuous improvement.
Continuous improvement.
Making small changes over time.
And finding that balance.
That
works for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That allows you to be both productive and fulfilled. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we've talked about a lot, right?
We've covered a lot of ground.
A lot of tools and techniques.
A lot of tips and tricks.
But I'm curious, what really resonated with you from all of this?
What stood out to you?
Yeah, what tools or techniques are you most excited to try?
Are you going to try any of these?
Yeah, in your own work or
in your life.
In your life.
Yeah, because I think...
And what does productivity even mean to you?
Yeah, that's a big question.
It's not just about getting more done, right?
No, it's not about just checking things off a list.
It's about creating a life that aligns with your values.
With your values and your priorities.
So as you continue on this productivity journey.
Yeah, it's a journey.
Remember to be intentional.
Be intentional.
Be curious.
Stay curious.
And most importantly, be kind to yourself.
Yes, self-compassion is key.
There's no one right way to be productive.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works for you.
Yeah.
And creating a system that supports your unique goals and aspirations.
That's it for today.
That's all we got.
Until next time.
Happy optimizing.
Happy optimizing.